Counselor Lehman. Counselor Marcus.
Here.
Counselor Larson.
Here.
Counselor Kuechly.
Here.
Mayor Sorensen.
Here. Report from department heads, Public Works. Nobody's here tonight. Fire and ambulance. Josh?
Really nothing too major. Had a rain night, so I had a chance to get here and see if there's any questions that you guys had for us across the street. And then everybody's through their classes. EMT or EMRs are done. They've been done a little bit. Firefighters are done now. So it's actually kind of nice. A little less activity across the street, but in doing so, we had crews up at the live burn, and we had to fill up cascades, our cascade system back up, and we did have some issues with our compressor, so we had to ship that out. The reports was it could be anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000 to fix it. To get a new compressor system for a breathing apparatus, you're looking at $20,000 or $30,000. So we sent it out. I asked them to give me a call before they proceeded with anything, and he did, and he said they actually think they'll be able to do it for a lot less because they found some valve springs that broke.
So you need a
hopefully
motion
that'll be coming back, and I still don't have a dollar amount,
Okay.
but it's it should fall. I would think around.
Is that for your tanks?
That's our compressor to fill our air tanks up. So.
Is it something you want a motion on tonight, or you want to wait?
No, well, I just wanted to kind of give you guys a heads up that
Okay.
It was an emergency situation, but it's sounding better than it could have been. So.
Okay.
Well, that's good.
And
Josh, excuse me, do we have a way to fill them tanks in the meantime if we need?
we were able to. We got 3 full tanks. If we need to right now, our mutual aid departments are willing to step in and allow us to come over and top our big bottles off. So, but yeah, everything's full up to this point. It's just so.
Did you guys send a basket of flowers to Joey Global?
That should be coming. That should be finalizing this week too. So
You're just gonna send them a...
absolutely,
Okay.
we're gonna do something. I'm sure we'll be going over there for a little PR thing. But
Yeah.
it's
Very nice.
fantastic.
Very
yeah.
nice.
We'll take anything we can get, and that was certainly welcome. And actually, we added a couple more things, so that dollar amount that I think Ed quoted is going to get all higher. So yeah, that's never a bad thing. And EFG grants are coming out right now, so fingers crossed. We were very successful last year, but hopefully this year we can be successful again. It's worth doing. Before long it might be getting cut, so it might not be an option to apply for it. So
Right.
we got to do it. But yeah, that's all I have. Any questions?
On-call still working out good?
Paid on call's working out good. Yeah, we've been covered. We haven't missed a call. So trying to figure out the hours. We are running 1 day a week with no paid on call, just keeping hours down on the couple that we have wanting to do it still. And the other ones that were on the roster, they've taken daytime jobs or they're over at other services working when. So there's been a couple gaps, but we try to stagger them the best we can. And I think we've been capturing we haven't missed a call yet, knock on wood, so.
Well, great.
And we've had some quiet times and we've had some very busy ones where we've emptied the hall. As you guys probably know, this week it was a very, very critical call that we ended up, I think we had 10 to 14 of our own personnel on the scene, so. So yeah, it's fun, okay.
Thank you.
Good.
Thanks, Josh.
Okay.
Thank you. Engineering? Good evening, John.
Status report on the bids of the trailer park water line. I know there's some questions on the scope and what we actually bid on the project, but let me go through kind of the bid results of this morning. We took bids on the project. We did it in 2 parts. We did the trailer park water line as what we call the base bed, and the add alternate was the Grand Street Alley work. We did receive 7 bids. 6 bids. Low bid was Joel and Sop at $147,445, and his ad alternate bid was $39,311. What was included in the base bid when we had the discussion with staff to actually not run the line from south of the trailer court, but come from the alley between Roberts and Whiteside, we did include, to get prices, the cost to replace the sewer line in that alley also. And what's also included in the base bid, just so we had unit prices, was the concrete driveway on France Street. We had a plan in there, driveway, if you know what we're talking about. So that was about $5,000 of the base bid, and the sanitary sewer portion of the base bid was about $42,000. So the actual water line portion of the base bid was a little bit less than $100,000. And again, the ad alternate was to replace the water line on Grand Street from Culver South down about 400 feet there. And actually came in, pretty good, I thought, $39,311. So you can see Joel and Sop was low by quite a bit, but I think, knowing what his workload is, he had some capacity to, bid competitively, and gave the city a price here.
John, in rerouting that street project over by the trailer court, did it raise the cost of it coming up the alley, or was it?
Well, when we put the application together, to CDBG, we asked, I think the total project cost was $170,000, and I think we had $90,000 on that side and $80,000 on the Grand Street. So, yeah, it may have been a little bit more in terms of length of pipe to go through the alley like we did. So, actually.
Well, probably not, because you have the sewer in that bid.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was water to water, it wouldn't be much difference. I would put money on it.
Yeah. Well, it's about the same. I mean, the breakdown of the water costs for the alley work was about $100,000. We originally estimated it'd be about 90, so it was a little bit more. And on the other hand, we were around 80,000 for the other alley, and it came in about 40. So, just maybe the the type of work they look at these alley projects can be difficult sometimes. See, that's not too bad of an alley in terms of the width. There's a gas line to contend with, but. And then from, I think the clerk's office received an email from CDBG, because we did receive the $70,000 grant, and I think an email from a couple of months ago kind of questioned if the funds were going to be available, but a recent email sounds like that's going to be coming. I mean, right now I'd recommend we don't award the bid tonight, because until we get this grant agreement with CDBG, which they threw dates are on June 1st, so it would be something to consider at your June meeting.
You also said IRRB might have something going in July.
Well, we're starting a new fiscal year in
Yeah.
July, so I don't know. In
That wouldn't hit this year.
2016 or this year, 2017, they didn't.
No.
They had a little bit, like $600,000 of public works fund, and Janet, we put the application in, and
They awarded it to a big $5.3 million project that's going on around here.
So John, going through the alley, that would also include they do the sewer, water and sewer?
That's part of the base bid,
Okay.
147, and that includes doing the driveway too.
I mean, push comes to shove, we could just award the water part of it, and we probably have enough funds someplace to pay for that, and it would solve our other water problems down by the pit and build up, give more pressure to the trailer park. Because right now they're only fed with a 4-inch line.
But does it make more
Yeah.
sense to do it this way, John, than the other way, do you think?
Well, what we really looked at with John and Trent a little bit more, you know, we basically have 3 4-inch lines feeding the trailer court. One coming up Roberts, one coming down this alley, and then another one on the north side of the Stubborn Pit that actually goes into a 6-inch by the time it gets there. But generally, it's a 4-inch. So we thought, you know, getting the 6-inch into the trailer court was the important part. Replacing an existing old 4-inch line at the same time as opposed to a newer line, and then have, you know, I think the end result in terms of increasing the pressure is gonna be there. You know, I just thought, well, let's try to replace a line at the same time we're fixing another problem. So that's kind of what we talked about, and I know there were some questions or comments about why I didn't come to the council meeting and explain this before we took bids, and I apologize to the council for that. But I could have been a little bit more proactive to let you know exactly what was going on in terms of what we thought was the best way to do the project, so.
Thank you for that, John. But
Yes.
I guess going back to the waiting with the sewer line, wouldn't we be paying twice for moving the same dirt? You know,
Well, that's why, you know, that's what we're doing in the alley on Grand Street. About 5 6 years ago, we
Right.
replaced the sewer
Sewer
line. Now
line.
we're going back and doing the water line. So it is a gravel alley, so we, you know, we just put it back with gravel. We want to pave it.
Right.
But
And it's, the sewer's on the east side of the alley, the water's on the west side of the alley. Most ones that you're talking about, the sewer's down the middle and the water's next to it. So I mean, if we did dig it up and go down that alley, we'd be tearing up the one side of the alley and putting dirt on the other side of the alley because that's where the sewer is.
They'd be digging it twice anyway.
Well, not necessarily.
You are digging 2 trenches if you do it, you know.
Right.
The water line, actually the sewer is shallow. So what we actually included in the project was burying the water line about 9 feet so we were below the sewer. So we wouldn't have conflicts with services across there, so, you know, if any, go to water first because it would be deeper.
Right.
And like John said, the water does hug the west side of the alley, and the gas line, kind of on the east side of the alley, more under the sanitary than it is the water line.
I think part of what we talked about though was the mob and the demob charges too of doing it.
Yeah, it is economic to do them both at the same time. I mean, you're right, I mean, we're putting down, you know, for example, the class 5, the alley is about, you know, it's $7,100 worth of class 5, so, I mean, if we do it in the future, you know, that would be a duplicate expense, some of the restoration items and things like that.
We'll just be looking at what we can afford to do this year.
Yeah,
We had
that's-
hoped to do both those projects, but we only got actual funds to do the one, so.
So by cutting the sewer off, what would that make the base
I'm thinking that's gonna be about $42,000 worth of sewer.
sewer?
Be about a
So we'd still have to come up to about 35.
And then when, I know it's a tough call, but any rough guesstimate on when we go back to do the sewer line?
I don't know, I mean, it's just an old clay line,
Yeah.
shallow.
No, I'm talking what, you know, the projected cost might be on something like that.
Yeah, there is that, I'd add another 20% to the 42,000 just
Okay.
for redoing the restoration.
So we're not looking at a huge amount, but
Yeah.
Now, the footage on the sewer and the water has been holding same for a long time. I mean, it's not any big movement. I mean, at $30 a foot or $40 a foot,
Right.
it's been that way for a long time.
And there was one manhole that was new, I don't know when it was replaced, but there was a new manhole that we'd be tying it You're right in the middle of the alley, I don't know when that was replaced.
Yeah, it was in about
2015.
late 80s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I think there is some newer manhole in that alley. But that's kind of would be like continuation of the Whiteside project, we ran the sewer down Whiteside, because that was a kind of, just an old clay pipe. And I don't know, I really haven't heard of any backups in the area. You know, concerns with that, just an old pipe and. But I think, like I mentioned, I think if we get the grant agreement, then do some more thinking about how we want to proceed before we award it here.
Right,
Okay.
okay.
Any other questions on that? Sorry for that.
I think that's it, John.
Confusion on it again.
No. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Attorney?
Only it's on the agenda there.
Okay. Long-range planning and zoning. It's a little ways off yet. Recreation board. Library board had a special meeting on May 8th that adjourned without action. They'll have a regular meeting in May 18th. BETA meets on May 31st. Utility Commission and clerk's report.
So we had the auditors here for a couple of weeks. They just finished up last week, finished up their field work. Now they're working on everything from the office, and they'll be here to do an exit report. Stuart is meeting with the sheriffs next Wednesday to discuss the enhanced coverage. I heard from the adjuster this week for the school, and he's working on the claim, and he should have it finished up by next week.
Good.
We had a photographer in here about a week and a half ago at the school, and he took some really nice pictures, and he's in the process of correcting them, and we'll get them sent for the virtual tour.
Jen, are those the photos that were used in your presentation down at the Capitol?
Some of them are, yeah, but they don't have the corrections done to them yet. I got them back literally the day before
Okay.
I made the, so that is some of them, but he has over 200 pictures. Also, the Chisholm Food Shelf contacted me. They got the food truck. It's in town, so they are wondering, they would like to start coming on June 27th. So they're wondering if we came up with a space.
The what?
The food shelf?
Yeah.
They were hoping to have a garage or something that they could
Set there.
set up in so that if it's raining or the weather's not quite right, they could
Oh, they
distribute.
come in once a month to
Yeah.
blow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
But I sent them the information on the South Industrial Park. The board is talking about buying a lot and putting up a building there.
Oh.
So that just kind of happened in the yesterday. So she got back to me today. But in the meantime, they're wondering about the school garage. Just taking a stall, putting a tarp up
yeah.
for that first stall so nobody can see what's in there.
Well, the parking and the location is perfect.
It's once a month. They don't know the hours yet. If it's at the school, it'll clearly be during our work hours.
Unless Josh got an open stall.
We would have nothing against that stall over there, but it'd kind of be the
But-
same thing, we'd like it, you know, a clear area where we don't.
No access to all of your
Yeah.
equipment and
Yeah.
But
things.
not only that, I was thinking about if a lot of cars are parked out there for it and you guys get a call,
Yeah,
that might not be the safest thing.
yeah, school's a good spot.
For now,
I would
until
agree.
something happens with it.
Yeah, I did tell her that at any moment,
Yeah.
that could not be a possibility.
Yeah.
We need a
Yeah, probably.
motion. I'll make the motion, we allow the Chisholm Food Shelf to use the one bay in the school garage, 1 day a month.
Support.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Also, I was at the state capitol last Thursday for that meeting, and John came with. I'll talk about it when we get to it on the agenda.
I thought you may as well put it in your report here because that's all information that's relevant to this and.
Sure. So we went down and there was kind of a variety of people there. There was legislators, people from the Iron Mining Association, IRRB, lobbyists. We told them about the veterans home. They love the idea. They want to help us with it. They want us to get quotes for a best use study and come back to them. We'll submit it to the IRRB board. So I contacted the IRRB and just asked who does something like that. They're going to put that the priority is the veterans home, however. I told them how I was contacted to spearhead a Yellow Ribbon Community Coalition between Virginia, Evelyn, Buhl, and Mount Iron, and they thought that was a great idea. They said it's something I should talk to the council about because they'd like to see that go. What else, John? Can you think of any? What else do we?
Well, basically we just talked about is the 2 players for the school that we thought were, I think we have good chances for. And one was the Missouri group and the other one was Nolan and the Vets thing that Jennifer got going. And well, then we talked about the money that Kids Peace gave us back into the account, and
They would like us to do the repairs to the school using that money. The repairs that need to be done, they don't want anybody to come in and have to worry about anything going on. They want that money used right now, they said, and they actually suggested somebody that we already had a quote from for one of the jobs.
there's a couple little water leaks, and
Right, that little
Jennifer had
girl.
brought them up, and they said, you know, use that money and fix it, and if somebody comes in, then, you know, we're good to go. So,
That was one thing that Missouri people were concerned with, was the water damage.
Also, then I got a call from Amy Klobuchar's office, and again, Rick Nolan is probably gonna be here in Minnesota for Memorial Weekend, and he is going to try to schedule something to come and meet with me. Wants to tour the school, but we won't know for sure until, I think this week I'll find out. And then, so I have a request for the per diem. I'm not submitting for staying for a hotel room or anything like that, just the mileage. I was back at City Hall before 4 o'clock that day. So
The per diem was 200 and,
216.14.
can I have a
It's just for the
motion to
mileage.
approve the per diem for the trip?
I'll make a motion to approve the per diem of $216.14.
Support.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And as John said, we did get a letter saying that we are getting the CDBG money now. $70,000 is what we're getting. Also, Diane and I would like to put together a City Hall bulletin just for this coming up for next week to stick in the mail, because we want to get the spring cleanup, the ad for the spring cleanup out there. And then also it would probably be a good idea to advertise the food shelf coming, because she would like to get an idea of what times work best. And since Diane and I already talked about getting the spring cleaning thing out there, we thought we could just stick that in there as well. We probably need a motion for that though.
So the food shelf's looking for feedback from the citizens
Just to
on
know
when they
what times work
like.
best. They didn't ask us to advertise or to ask or anything like that, but we thought since we were going to do something for the spring cleanup, and just a couple city things that we wanted to come out before the newsletter comes out, we thought we could just stick that in there and maybe and put their number and their email, and people can respond.
Are they
and let
okay
them-
with?
Yep,
that?
she
Okay.
was okay with it.
Do you have a motion?
I would make that motion to put the mailers out for spring cleanup and the
Food shelf?
food
trip?
shelf, thank you.
Okay.
I'll support that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And then the only other thing that I have is yesterday I received a resignation from the entire Parks and Rec Board.
So maybe in that flyer, we could advertise for volunteers as well.
Yes, that'd be a good idea.
Say why they resigned?
No, but I had one of them come in today and apologize to me for what was written on the letter. So I heard, but I won't speculate as to why they resigned.
Council additions to the agenda. I would like to set a date for our 6-month review of the clerk. We'll put that down as the last item. Anybody else have anything for the agenda? Citizens Forum? Anybody wish to speak to the council?
No.
Consent agenda, regular city council minutes.
I'll approve the regular city council meeting of May 2nd.
I'll support.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Claims?
I so move that we pay our claims of $102,573.45.
Support.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Agenda item A, Sunday off-sale liquor sales. Jen, do we need to repeal the ordinance or to amend the ordinance? What are we gonna do?
Well, I think you can amend it to comply with the change that the state did, so it's in compliance with state law. State law is now going to allow it. And I think the city can disallow it, I mean, if they want to. It can be more restrictive.
Yeah, I see Adlet had the same thing. Their ordinance was in a paper to change it, and they had exactly the same thing that Jennifer had proposed.
Yeah.
Or you guys did.
Her Lakes did too.
But if we're gonna do the amendment or whatever, it should be formal and, get it to you.
Get a resolution and ordinance ready for the next meeting for us to move
Next meeting or
forward.
the meeting after. I think it's effective July 1st.
I think I
So-
included
You got
an
one?
ordinance.
Okay, she's got one there, so.
Yep.
Yeah. And I looked at Atlas, and it was basically that's all the towns must be doing the same thing.
So they'd only be allowed from between 10 and 1.
No, 10 and 6 on Sunday.
That's the old one.
Yeah,
There's some blurry.
So looking
Or
at the
11.
ordinance, amending it, it does comply with the change in the state law, and so to comply with that, I'd recommend that you approve the ordinance amendment.
Do we have a motion to accept?
I so move we accept ordinance 17-02.
Support.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Roll call?
Counselor Lehman, Counselor Marcus,
Yes.
Counselor Larson,
Yes.
Counselor Kuechly,
Yes.
Mayor Swanson.
Yes. Okay, JPJ Engineering. The project is the trailer court water main. This is the first invoice. Amount due $4,500.
Make the motion, we pay JPJ invoice number 1 for the amount of $4,500.
I'll support.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Pay application number 2, Whiteside Industrial Park for JPJ.
John, what's really left there, just where?
Yeah.
This isn't a pay estimate to us, this is a pay estimate to the
Contractor, right?
Okay. Whiteside Avenue, this is a pay estimate we prepared back in October of 2016 that we gave to Tony's Construction, and he was wanting some additional items added, and we kept telling him no, and he finally signed it on May 2nd. So this was the paving, the concrete work, the sod, that was actually done
Okay.
last fall.
Right.
Okay, now to answer the question, yeah, the wear course has to be put down, the final adjustments of the manholes. There's the tree on the corner that's still gotta come down, that's kind of on the punch list. And, you know, with road restrictions, I think coming off next week, maybe?
Tomorrow.
Or tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay. You know, they should, you know, we want the weather to warm up to put the wear course, so
For
I
sure.
anticipate maybe middle of June to get that done, and we'll do a walkthrough and see if there's any additional punch lists, see all the sod, seed, and if any washouts or anything like that, so don't really have a lot on the punch list because it kind of ran into the winter, but we'll do a review this spring, get that all taken care of before you put the wear down.
And there's money in the pot for this, on this project, so
Okay.
it's,
Yep. I'll make the motion, we pay app number 2 for the Whiteside Avenue project to Tony's Construction for $23,774.24.
27 cents.
27, sorry, I should put my glasses on.
Support.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Vacuum cleaner. City Hall needs a new vacuum cleaner.
I so move, we purchase a vacuum cleaner for the city hall.
The Electrolux at $282. It's a commercial vac, should hold up a little longer.
Yeah,
I'll support.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Respectful workplace policy. Mike, did you have a chance to read through this?
Yes, and it's in line with other cities that have already adopted respectful workplace policy. It's just, it kind of should be a given, but then it's the cities on record that the workplace should be respectful to one another. You may have differences of opinion and different ideas and perspectives, but to be respectful of everyone. And I indicate that I think it's in the best interest of the city of Buhl to adopt the respectful workplace policy.
Any questions?
Read through it. I'll make a motion that we adopt a respectful workplace policy.
Support.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Martin Hughes School discussion. Is this more of an FYI or is there, it's just,
Well, I just thought we were keeping it on the agenda every meeting just to kind of, and the IRRB letter's in there too as well.
sure. Okay. And we've
And
gone
response
through
from
the,
Commissioner Phillips.
Very good.
so we'll move on to item H.
I think what Mark's referring to here is funds within the city itself for reimbursement. That's why I was saying on the utilities, just charge what Minnesota Power charges us, or,
It's all the utilities, that we aren't allowed to use
Okay.
the,
Right,
we can't reimburse ourselves for the city utilities or for
right.
the wages up there.
okay.
So we can't charge anything for electric or?
We can't use the.
Not those
Right,
funds,
right. Okay.
not
Yeah.
those funds.
We can't use the IRRB funds for that.
Right, for no electric, not.
No BUHLMAY16.
We'll have enough other
That's-
expenses, I think, to
Yeah.
use it. We'll move on to item H, the disc golf course.
Well, I'd like to just comment on the trip down at the Capitol is, I mean, this meeting was strictly for Buhl. They didn't, when we left, they left. I mean, there was like 6 or 8 of them, and they were there to hear what we had. And I was really impressed. So, and Jason Metza, I mean, he did most of the talking, and he talked very well for us.
Great.
So, comment I like to credit Jason and Jennifer and then Mike Jugovich, our county commissioner, for all the work they did to get us there and get the people together to listen to us. It was good. I don't know where he found these pictures because they're way too clean.
Very good pictures.
I've been in a tour of that school. It's like, where did he find these rooms?
There's a lot of really great pictures, and once he's gonna do some corrections on some of them, and
Well, it's because it does look that good, you know?
and it was only $200 some dollars.
Item H, the disc golf course discussion.
Well, there's just things that should be done. I mean, you're gonna go with the disc golf, you're gonna go with the disc golf, but we have to, we had people up there, there's kids on four-wheelers, cars, they're buzzing around a pit. I mean, we have no signs, we don't have anything. The conservation officer came and he said, without any ordinances in the books about how you restrict the use of that pit, I can't do anything. These kids can run you down, and in fact, he even picked one up. And the kid was too young to be on one, but he gave the parent a break. But he said, the next time, I will pick you up and I'll give you a ticket for not being old enough to be on this machine. But he says, you can call the sheriffs, you can call anybody, and we have no, it's just not zoned. We have to zone it. We have to, just like at the Stubler, it's zoned. You can't allow stuff to happen.
The building area is the beach? I don't think the beach is, it's just a recreation.
Well, the whole pit. The pit, the Judson pit, not the Stubler pit. We're talking about the Judson pit.
Judson pit is recreational.
We don't have anything on a Judson pit.
Not in our ordinance book,
I know.
but,
That's what I'm suggesting.
yeah.
We should, at planning and zoning, come up with an ordinance that, no, we can't drive your four-wheelers around the pit. You can't camp overnight. You can't swim here. I mean, there's things, and then the league even tells us, you know, directions to go on this. But we have to do this. I mean, it's, you know, the disc golf is disc golf, but we have to set up some rules.
So it is one thing, I know Bonnie from the auditor's office is gonna talk about this in her exit counseling, about having a contract in place. She talked about the different, I think Megan explains it in here too. She's actually gonna address it for all of the city buildings, the senior center, the curling club. There's some things that she would like the city to establish some consistency on for all of them. But Mike, I had asked you about the contract too, and you kind of gave me the same thing that the league did about.
Just between what's expected of the parties rather than just here and there, then everybody's written down and approved by the council and.
I think there's verbal understandings, but it would be good to have it in
writing, black and white, and then
Yeah.
everybody knows it's expected. And if they're working on the disc golf and that type of thing, you know, Councilor Marcus, you know, you don't want four-wheelers whizzing by or that type of stuff, so.
They've been going for a long
Yeah.
time around those
Time
pits.
to cut that off.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I
We
mean,
could
but-
certainly look at it, but I don't think we need a motion to send it to planning and zoning. Planning and zoning can come up with their ordinance, they're gonna come back to the council with recommendations.
Yeah.
So that can
So-
happen.
And you know, when I was out there, every place there's erosion is caused by four-wheelers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every single one.
Yeah.
We used
Because
to
it's a
mow that.
walking pit, there was no problem then.
That walking pit, we used to mow it. But after the four-wheelers got on there, they rutted it so bad, we couldn't go back on there.
Yeah,
Right.
it's terrible.
And it was a walking trail.
Right.
And,
Very nice one.
yeah, well,
At one time.
Was.
At one time it
Was.
was, yeah.
I just said we have to have some rules up there.
Another thing the auditor said was anything purchased for the golf course needs to come before the council. Whether it's the baskets, the tee pads, everything has to come before the council, and the council has to decide on it before the city can pay out any dollars on it.
Okay.
So she did she said, Mike said that we need to have an agreement in place with them as to, is the council going to tell them what to do in terms of the course, or are they gonna do it themselves? That's where the liability lies, and we need to have an agreement in place about that.
I think there should be some type of layout or plan proposed and what they're doing, so the council understands what the proposal is, and then get their, legal blessing. And then, anything that they're buying through this grant money, it's again, city of Buhl money, and say, here's what we want to do, here's estimates or whatever, and get council approval.
I can talk to the Disc Golf Association. We've got a pretty good rapport there, and I will work with them and let them know that we're going to put something into place in writing. So, and they may even have recommendations for what they did in Hibbing with that too, when they established that course. So I would just say this can go to planning and zoning to discuss and create a zoning regulations if they want. But John, it's been my understanding that the sheriffs are not going to enforce our local ordinances anyway. They don't. So we can put whatever we want
Well, if there's
on
a
the books.
complaint by a person up there, or any kind of complaint, who do then they don't have a complaint?
We
Well,
can try, but
I just said
If there was a complaint, if there's not being enforcement in regards to city ordinances, if the person, individual doing it makes the complaint, it could be forwarded to me to do a formal complaint based upon the citizen that they violated the Buhl ordinance.
But if you don't have some
I did talk to the
rules-
league today, and they also stated that some signage could be helpful too.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
And I know Tim talked about signs, but I think we do need a plan or what we want on it. And maybe it
Right.
would be a good idea for some type of meeting with them, so,
Yeah.
because.
Yeah, I
At
know
this point, I mean,
they're
I toured
gung
it.
ho and they're wanting to move forward with
I
it. And I
toured it
sure
with
don't
them,
wanna.
but I really don't know what the next move is
It'll
by
be to get
anybody.
an agreement, because if they're going to just do everything, if the council is just gonna say, go ahead and do it, at the end, we need a resolution to accept it from them, accept the work. And it's the insurance part of it is.
Then they would
Is
need
why we need the
insurance.
agreement, yeah, if they're going, and they would need their own insurance. And if they're gonna
Sure
come
about
back and.
that if they're volunteering in town hall.
Here's the thing from the league, it's attached to it.
It says right
And
here,
that's
if they're
what
working
Bonnie
under
from the
their own
auditor's
direction,
office
they
told
have to
us
have
too.
that.
Right.
So it'll depend what kind of agreement we have as to whether they need their own
Right.
insurance policy on this. And then how we need to accept it and how the council how they come forth and ask, show us quotes to buy baskets or whatever, that will have to be done by the council. It can't just be done by them without coming forth to the council.
Well, I'd like to be the liaison for this project because I'm anxious in seeing this move forward, and Tim and I have a long-standing relationship. We work well together. And I know they're really eager to get going on it. They've been setting times aside already to start coming over and do the work, so we'll get something going as soon as we can here as far as an agreement with the city.
Perfect.
All
And
right.
can planning and zoning just come up with,
That's what they
With the
should do,
signage.
and then make a recommendation to the council
Yep.
as far as,
That's for the zoning, but I think the general kind of agreement.
Agreement
comes
is
from the.
different.
That's something different,
And
yeah.
league and or myself, it just doesn't need to be that in depth, but it should be something black and white.
Because I don't think we have the personnel to have the direction and control of putting up this disc golf from any city employee.
No,
I
that's
would
not
really
what
like
it's-
to see, Mike, I would really like to see you put an agreement together. That would be helpful.
I don't think we have to have somebody actually there all the
No.
time.
No, no, that's
No.
not what they need,
Yeah,
no.
just our direction of.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's gonna happen because we've
Usually
been
if they're
shown the
doing
course
volunteer
layout.
work that's approved by the city, as long as you know who the employers are, they're kind of under this, all volunteers are under the city insurance umbrella.
Right.
And how Bonnie
Right.
explained it too is that, not saying this is this, but just say, the Boy Scouts for Lake Leander, say we didn't know that they built the outhouse and they built it and then they turn around and say we want our outhouse back one day. So that's kind of what Bonnie was explaining.
Okay. All right. Move on to Utility Commission. I did talk with the league a couple of times about this too, and I really wonder if we need to form a commission. I know it was formed originally, I think, when Denny Marks was here.
I just found that today actually, in 2001. It wasn't an actual commission, but there was a motion made by Denny Marks, seconded by Capus, to approve a utility payment task force.
Right, I know at different times we had different committees that kind of, and what that task force did was they sat down with people who were chronically delinquent paying their bills and worked out schedules for them to pay it back. In more recent times, the Utility Commission's only really duty was to make recommendations to the council for raising rates if they saw a need for that.
Yep.
So,
Well, no, they
It's
put
pretty-
together the needs of the town. I mean, if we had a bad sewer line or a bad water line, basically all that came out of that commission. I mean, they suggested let's go do your alley next, and that all came out of there. That didn't come out of.
planning and zoning is where we've done all of the
Well, if you-
long-range planning for all of those kind of works, John, all the
No.
infrastructure work. Yeah.
Planning, and we've never,
We've got
No.
the long-range planning and zoning for all the street projects, the sewer projects, all the infrastructure projects.
well, that never came out of planning and zoning.
Sure it did.
What?
Yeah.
My thing, it has to be formed by an ordinance. I don't know if it was ever formed by an ordinance, so I don't think
No, it
really
wasn't.
calling it a commission is a commission. I don't think it's
Right.
by ordinance a formal commission. I think it's been more like a committee that's
Yeah,
looking a little more in
suggest-
depth.
The problems.
Come back advisory to
Yeah.
the council.
Like,
Right.
that's exactly what I'm
Right.
talking about.
Because if it was a formal commission to get out of it, it's a little more involved. Need more of this than council action. So I asked Jen to kind of go through the records and see if a formal ordinance was ever forming the commission. It doesn't sound
couldn't
like it
find
wasn't.
one.
Yeah.
No, I don't
So I think it's
think
just
there
an
was.
advisory committee to assist the
That's what it has been. Yep.
John, how many, you work with a lot of towns around, so how many
Yeah, they have public utility, smaller communities, just advisory committees.
committees? 'Cause, yeah, kind of the only commissions I've really heard of is Virginia, Hibbing,
Well,
Dove.
The bigger
Yeah.
communities,
Yeah.
yeah.
More
I
population.
mean, they do the finance part of it. I'm not suggesting that, just that this committee suggests what direction the city should go into as far as upgrading our streets, our sewers, our waters. I mean, how would the planning and zoning committee know any of this?
We talked about it.
We've talked about it at those meetings and done the long-range plan, but I remember, John, you and I and a few other people sitting down and going through that long-range plan, and I think that was just a committee of,
Yeah, that was,
Well, we sat
put a
right
cap-
here, yeah.
Actually, we sat in the back room there, and we had,
Yeah.
it was when we put the capital improvement plan together
right,
about a year or so ago, and
right.
a spin-off of that was we did some rate evaluation too, so, yeah, I don't know what committee it was, but there was a
Yeah,
group of people.
it was the
yeah.
clerk and you and I think Trent sat in on that too.
Yeah,
In the past, who has come to you and said we need to redo the infrastructure on Grant Alley, or how is that derived from doing our, our smoke
Well,
tests and different things,
yeah.
but
yeah, we did, a capital improvement plan, I mean, that's
Right.
$6 million, we don't wanna talk about that.
Well, exactly,
But, it's usually, a lot of water breaks in the alley, we gotta address that, Seville's a problem here, or we talked about that, not as the drainage issues over there. The trailer court, water pressure surfaced about a year or so ago. And, you know, so there's like a plan, but then there's things that kind of get added and moved
Right,
around in
move
the
around.
plan too.
But basically, the plan you're talking about is, we've done some of this, you marked the streets we've done, we haven't done some of these over here, and your plan just says, well, we haven't done these, but we've done these. But it doesn't put them in order of how it should, the ones that should be done in first, that's not in your book.
Well, not
I mean, that's why the
necessarily
utility commission,
We broke the plan into two parts, north of
Yeah.
Pennsylvania. And then we know we've still got some older sewers over in State Street, Main Street area. You know, those I'd consider priority, but when you're looking on the southern part of, yeah, I mean, there's streets, some bad utilities. You know, has it been prioritized? No.
But oftentimes you've come to us with recommendations as where do you think the next project should be anyway, just with what's been going on.
Yeah.
well, he's still getting that information from Trent. I mean, when we was here, it was me and Gino Matthews, the city clerk, and, well, John. And we went through what we should set as priorities to be done, because we have a bad sewer line over here, we've got a water line that has 15 bandages on it. So this commission, you know, recommended what direction we should go. I mean, to do a plan of the whole town doesn't tell you that. The commission told them that.
Well, what's changed since then that we needed a commission?
No, nothing. It's always been that way.
It's a committee.
Just a
Yeah.
committee.
So at our last meeting, we talked about a few utility bills in town, some that need to be written off. We talked about shut-off valves that need to be located and replaced. We talked about areas to smoke test. There was probably a lot of things discussed that maybe we wouldn't have the time to do at a council meeting maybe, or, I would,
I think if it's worked for this long, why change it?
Another thing we prioritize is, you know, when there's different funding cycles come up, like CDBG, and they wanna focus on utilities.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
You know, there might be some recreation type projects at the IRRB, you know, I try to stay abreast of all of that, and, you know, as I was a council, yeah, there might be an opportunity to get some funding here, and, you know.
And John's been good to come to those CDBG hearings when I've gone over and lobbied for these.
You know, a lot of the grant money kind of prioritizes some things too, so.
Yeah.
I'm just saying you need this board or commission or whatever to put this stuff together so everybody has the information. It gives you a direction. Without this, I'm not sure how you're gonna come up with this.
we do have it, yes, so I don't.
It's already in place, is my understanding.
Right.
Well, I know,
The
but,
the distinction was just whether it was a commission or a committee.
yeah.
And the duties have seemed to change a little bit.
I think maybe it came about with the, you know, the bid being let for that, and I couldn't find it anywhere where we approved putting it out for bid. You know, maybe that was the concern with. I do think we need a committee because I don't think any of us have the time to drive around and wouldn't know what utility, you know, yeah, I know there's a water break in many parts of town, you know, over the last 10 years, but to actually prioritize which one needs it the most.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying, is I think we need this committee or commission, whatever you wanna call it, to keep doing what we've done.
I think it would be good to keep an informal committee. I think that it would be good to have you to do that sort of thing, but then to make the recommendations back to the council.
It doesn't matter as long as you.
It would be an advisory committee.
Yeah, that's what it has been.
It's just a committee.
So basically, we'll just keep it as status quo. I was president, Trent was vice president, secretary, and John, our engineer.
Jim.
And Jim is on the committee.
2 council people, I think, can't be on
Well,
it.
that's for commission.
Oh, okay.
That's why I had Jim check to see if was ever a formally adopted commission. It was more like
Okay.
a committee, so that's not a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
But I
Okay.
think the question
Alright.
was, do we wanna do add this to our ordinance book is what I think the
As a
mayor said
committee.
at the last meeting.
Yeah, so we don't have to
Said
bring
there's
this up
nothing in the ordinance
and,
book.
when somebody else new comes here, I don't know. Should we
It would
just,
be a committee. I don't think you want to get involved as a commission.
okay.
Right. Okay,
So the question was, and I haven't looked at like draft, just so the mayor and council is that there shall be, a commission established that includes 2 representatives from the city council and or mayor, the clerk, and the city engineer.
And the city foreman or
city
supervisor.
Supervisor.
Yeah,
And, just make recommendations and advise the council as regards to the city's
okay.
infrastructure.
Yeah, we can put that in the planning and zoning
Yeah.
folder that we have over there.
right,
Okay.
all right. The only other business is to set a date for the 6-month review for the city clerk.
Well, you might as well add, I don't know, do we need a new rec board?
Well, we've got to wait for volunteers to come forward. That's going to take a little while.
Do
We
you
do have some
advertise or what? How
already.
do you do that?
We've had people call up already wanting to come on the board.
Great.
Well,
We can put it in the bulletin thing too.
I would like to have a copy of who's ever volunteering to come on
They
board.
didn't write
since-
anything, they've just called and they've spoken to Paul.
Okay. I would like a list of those names so I can appoint them, make those appointments. All right. Do we want to do the review Tuesday the 23rd or Tuesday the 30th?
Makes no difference to me.
Do you have a preference, Jen?
Is
What's,
this in May?
No, yeah. A week from now or 2 weeks from now?
Doesn't really matter to me. I think that, well, I'll do it the 23rd, that's fine.
All right.
what's the 23rd? Or Tuesday?
Tuesday, do we want to do it at 6:30?
6 sounds good to me.
6
I don't know.
PM okay for everybody? Mike, can you make it?
Sure.
Mike, you'll be able to make that?
23rd.
I think that's this coming Tuesday.
Yeah, I will, as far as I know, I'm open.
Okay. Now, is that going to be a closed session or open? Does the clerk have the choice on whether you want it open?
I'll
or
check on
closed, or-
that.
Okay, all right. All right. Well, do I have a motion to adjourn
How did we make a motion for that?
for the review?
Yeah.
Oh. We have a motion to do the 6-month review on May 23rd at 6 PM?
So moved.
I guess I'm not, I have a question. I was not thinking that the 16th is not a normal council meeting day, or is it? The
Oh,
23rd, I'm
the
sorry.
23rd,
not.
no.
That's an
Okay,
extra.
So it'd be, yeah, as long as I could get a reminder, I'll write it on my calendar if I get busy.
Oh, yeah.
Support.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. This meeting's adjourned.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Just 1 second is,
Sorry.
I kind of read these minutes, I mean, these emails from Dan and Jen, and I didn't read anything that there was a conflict between her and him. I mean, these are all the email minutes that, you requested.
Right. I just hadn't seen them, that's why I requested them, John.
Oh, well,
We had heard conflicts, so. I read through.
Huh?
Dan had said there was no conflict on his part, I think that all came from the,
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't understand what's going on up there.
No.
I mean, if you read all the emails that between December and now with Jennifer and Dan, there's not one conflict or anything in there.
I'm not accusing, I just asked for them because I wanted to read them, I haven't read
Well,
them.
some of the statements that are going around town are saying there's been issues between the emails between Dan and Jennifer, and I've read them, and there's nothing in there ever, anywhere.
I don't know.
Well,
I don't know, I haven't read them,
Well,
so.
David is the one that originally came to myself and Stuart with those, and Dan was here at the special meeting and said that he had that he basically didn't know what David was talking about.
well, I just don't like people going out there and saying we have a conflict with our
Well, I don't either, and I
No.
don't like being
city clerk and,
misled,
No.
and
you know,
I think there's a huge problem in more areas than one, and maybe a lot of everybody's part of it.
I don't know,
So-
yeah. And then there's a Jeannie
You know, then
Endenoff.
we hear that the rec board resigns, and I did call them people. And there's this kind of the same problem, is some of them some of them just resigned, agreed to, because of all the drama. And one of them told me she never resigned anything. But
I'm just
her,
gonna caution the council, you're moving into items that aren't on the agenda nor added, so.
All right,
Well,
could I have a motion to adjourn?
I made that motion.
Support?
support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried, this meeting's adjourned.